Growing up as a kid in South London, you know, this was what I saw the rich people driving. If I went to the rich part of town and wandered about like the street urchin that I was. Well, yeah, I grew up in South London between the Elephant and Castle and Brixton, which is, for anybody that knows it, it's about as rough as it gets in South London. I was poor. I very quickly learned I was poor, and I realised that I didn't want to stay poor, and you know, however I was going to get out of it, I was going to get out of it. And I mean, I started work at 8 years old in a street market, wandering along the stalls and just asking the stall holders, would you like a cup of tea? And they'd give you the money, a couple of shillings to go and buy their tea, and you'd come back with their tea, and they'd give you a penny or two for doing it. And then at 13, I started in construction, literally sweeping up the jobs. And you know, by the time I was 22, I'd grown into being a fully fledged partner in that company. I'm a great example of, at each different stage in my life, that overworking got me to the position I'm at.
Brands Hatch, lined up on the starting grid.
If you look at London, and on the very southern edge of London is the track called Brands Hatch. And as kids, you know, you'd always want to sneak in somewhere and see something and do something you wasn't supposed to do. And we used to sneak in there and watch them, you know, really serious racing from some serious world-class drivers.
The GT40, Brian Redmond driving, was the winner.
I've been lucky enough to drive many cars, but BMW, you really feel like you're driving the car, you're part of the car, you get something back from the car. There's a lot the average driver can get out of it, and a lot of satisfaction. It's just fun, it's German reliability, but in a supercar.
Now, you're a great enthusiast. You shared cars with us in Kirkland. You shared us with them at the LeMay Concours. You brought them here today. I appreciate your letting all of us share in your enthusiasm and in your great cars. Now, your second award, you get the Concours Chairman's Choice. So, Alan's...
Before 2008, the most cars I've ever had was 6. And then 2008 and the recession came along. And I was like, okay. I looked at my bank balance. I looked at that 0 interest rate the bank manager was giving me, and I went, who's going to enjoy this money, him or me? So I decided that my passion, what I loved, was old cars. I was the right age, I was still in my 40s, and I went, yeah, you know, I'm going to start enjoying my money. And that's what I did, and I couldn't believe it was almost like an awakening, like, okay, what do I love, what do I want to collect? Yeah, there's loads of cars, there's Jaguars, there's Aston Martins, there's Ferraris, there's Lamborghinis, there's Maseratis, and you go through and you go, yeah, but you know, what I really love is BMW Motorsport, and I remember them racing at Brands Hatch. I suddenly started looking and went, nobody gets this. Nobody gets the BMW Motorsport. And suddenly I was on my own, and some of the biggest collectors have all come up to me and said, yeah, I thought about doing that about 5 years ago or 10 years ago, Pete, and I go, thanks for not doing it. So we're in the pits at Laguna Seca. This is the first time out for all 3 of these cars. That's the JPS 635, the only Group A car for 100 years of BMW. That's the only rally CSL, factory rally CSL by BMW. And this is the first CSL to go to a racetrack. All my cars, all for the first time racing in America, and all for the first time since the day they stopped racing at top flight. So this won the championship in '75 and has never turned a wheel in anger since. The rally car last raced in '73 and has been missing since. And the JPS black car last turned a wheel in anger at the end of the '88 season. Anytime I buy a race car, or you know, anything that has significant history, I try to buy all the memorabilia connected around it. So, you know, there's Bill Auberline's race suit up there. I've got Johnny Cicotto's race suit. The word story has become dirty in the car world, a story car. But really, it's the story behind the car that I love, not just the car. The Z1, or Z1, as you guys call it, was originally owned by a guy called Matthew Harding in the UK. He was the original owner. He was the money behind Chelsea Football Club before the Russians. And Matthew Harding drove this to the heliport one evening and went to a night game of Chelsea Football Club. And on the way home in the helicopter, he crashed and died. And so this was left at the heliport, and I bought it off his business partner. And when I received the keys were actually over, 15, 18 years now. They've softened, but the actual ring for the key was inside the key there, and all this rubber was burnt and very sharp edges. Years of being in pockets now, it's not done it, but the keys were actually on him when he passed. My passion for collecting, there's often things that spark me, but if I look back on my lifetime, it really has always been design. Like I talk about collecting art.
You love art.
Yeah, I love art. And although I say I collect art, I really collect design.
Liking art and design, you couldn't have liked anything better than this.
Exactly right.
Right? I
Yep.
mean, the XKE, my God.
I looked forever in England and never found one.
And you found it here.
I found it in Woodinville, Washington. This car. Just crazy. I mean, just nuts. And it was a Microsoft guy who'd spent astronomical money on it and was scared to drive it. I buy what I love. Ferrari 355 Challenge. It was owned by Dale Chihuly, the glass artist, for many, many years. I don't buy anything I don't love. I only like cars that have a soul, have a history, have a story. When an artist does his interpretation on a car, it brings together my two passions, and that's why art and cars. But I love cars for their simple artistic merit and their design. And when I wander around an art gallery, we all look at the paintings. We may look at the writing that's there, but I look at the date, and the date is more important to me than anything. You can see a great artist, but if you understood what the people did the few years before, you might see how he got there. And actually, there's a lot of crossovers in cars. There's a hell of a lot of crossovers in the car world we're looking at. You can see where it came from. That's what I love. I love someone who's willing to go for it, not always get it right. And in a way, that's BMW. So if you think back to '78 when the M1 come out, Peter Gregg didn't go for any middleman. He went straight to Jochen Niersbach, who was the head of BMW Motorsport, and wrote wonderful letters like this, like, please accept this letter as our firm order for a M1 racing coupe to Group 4. I collect art, I collect cars. I have the Peter Gregg Frank Stella art car, which, to be clear, BMW own all the factory 17 art cars. There's only one car in the world that is considered an art car by everybody else in the world, and that's the Peter Gregg Frank Stella art car of the BMW. It's the only one that can sit alongside them. BMW are pretty angry that they don't own it because it's done what it's done. In the day, the car was 150,000 Deutschmarks, which was $80,000. And then by the time you put the bits on it, there's the invoice from Germany. And this is what the Guggenheim valued it at in 1999, when they would have valued the car at zero. They valued the artwork at 2.1 mil in 99, when an M1 was worth nothing, That was probably as much as any major stellar work had ever sold for in that time. I never normally bother with the seat belts, but I suppose we should for the camera, shouldn't we? As much as I've done what I've done with BMW Motorsport, I don't know that I'll ever be finished. So there's always something else. Some people just don't get the hobby.
No, they don't.
It's the passion starts as a young man and it continues forever.
Yeah.
So,
We sound like a couple of old guys, don't we?
like a big kid in a candy store. I want a sweet out of every jar, Certainly out of every BMW jar.